I got a bite from a brand I really liked here in LA. And so I came down between semesters to experience Los Angeles. I came into the arts district and I was like, well, what are all these crazy warehouses? And like, you can actually live in them, which never even dawned on me as a possibility. Hey, my name is Elliott Evan and I make garment experiences. So today we're here in my studio in Lincoln Heights, which is a neighborhood just east of Chinatown, right outside downtown. And this is my studio that we're in. Basically, it's the place that inspires me the most. On the walls, I have some previous work, my personal motorcycle as well as my buddy motorcycle. It's like all the stuff that inspires the process. You know, I live in it, I go to sleep in it, I wake up in it. And so it's the only place that I would want to be in. It really all started when I was like 19 in San Francisco. I had my first streetwear collection. That was what I was the most moved by in the beginning. That was like my intro. And I never really had a plan. It was just like, I was driven to clothes. And it's like whatever it takes to do clothes, whatever that meant, I was willing to do it. It was like, just do whatever it takes. So I got to San Francisco, started going to school. Things were good. People were spending a lot of money on clothes. So I had this streetwear line through that factory I worked with. They had a lot of trust in me and they would like float a lot of production for me. And so I was able to make a lot of garments. I was very trusting in the beginning. I think that was very difficult. Like, you know, you definitely have to be guarded. You know, at a certain point during my streetwear endeavor, I had a lot of friends around me and I was like, you know, this is amazing. These are real friends. And then, you know, 2008 happened. The storefront I had to close up. Everything just changed. And like all my friends disappeared. Basically, there got to a time period in San Francisco where I realized that that city like didn't necessarily reflect who I was. You know, there was like a breakup along the way and I was like, I'm gonna go to LA. So basically just hit Craigslist and just looked for anybody that was looking for patterns or samples. And I'd drive around the garment district or like Vernon and then just go in and be like, hey, do you guys take work? Like, do you take walk-ins? Trying to just find people that needed samples. And that went on for a really long time. Between that, whenever I had extra material, I would put it all together and I would make these like random garments to test my abilities. Sometimes they'd be different colors of denim, they'd be different color fabrics, and then I'd wax them black at the end. And then like that ended up becoming like my first collection. I guess the biggest struggle I come into is being very passionate about an artistic idea, but then being realistic with what the market wants or like what sells. I always say I'm like very artistically driven and that's always my focal point. And it oftentimes will be my weakness because at the end of the day, we all have to make money. We have to make a career out of this. And I'm always excited about like the magic and you know all the good stuff that we dream about like in design school, like friendships, like what's real, what's not, and you know knowing what to take with a grain of salt. So the interesting thing about being here in LA and like in my workflow has been, you know, an observation of working with friends versus working with individuals. A lot of times people get referred to me. Sometimes working with friends can be very difficult. Sometimes it can be this like beautiful thing where they'll have an idea, a little like chicken scratch on a piece of paper that they feel very excited about. And I can take them from this like chicken scratch on a piece of paper to a realized garment that they can then shoot, they can take video of, and then later sell it. And like, I think that process is such a beautiful thing for me. And I feel very like passionately about that. Oftentimes, you know, I'll try to tell them to bring to me whatever sort of assets they have. If it be just printouts online, their favorite garment that they have, literally anything and any sort of sketch. And then from there, I like to like sit down and talk with them and try to like, I want to see what they see. So we'll go through the garment and like try to understand every single design detail. There's a lot of times there's certain things I'll pick up on versus what like a consumer might pick up on. So understanding like what fit means to somebody, understanding what design lines mean to somebody, have us both see the same thing because I need to be able to like make the decisions before they really can. From the very beginning of pattern making to cutting to sewing, I do the whole process all here in this studio. And over the years, I've been more active in like the fashion cycle, and I'll show my personal work, which is more conceptual development that I feel like I need to share, bodies of work. And it comes from my time in San Francisco getting my education. I think about my friends of mine back then and like what we were doing. I got into small motorcycles back in San Francisco, and I think about the crazy nights of us just being out of our minds riding these bikes late into the night, and like, what did we look like? What are we wearing? We all like shot film photography back then, so we were shooting like 3200 film at nighttime, riding through Chinatown or a place with all these like neon lights. And like, what do those photographs look like? And like those photographs of my friends on these bikes and these clothes has gone on to really inspire like my personal work. And that process I continue to come back to. And whenever I get burned out with clothes, you know, I'll shoot some film with my friends riding bikes. I'll get lost in the desert, get lost in the city, you know, shoot my friends. And then like that'll later influence like my next body of work. Very emotionally driven, like whatever I'm feeling, like I like to just feel that and like put it through the garments. Big part of my workflow from time to time will include doing personal development, and that's like my place in the fashion sphere. I have a passion project called Elliott Evan, and I've been doing it for about 10 years now. Basically, there's been times where I've been super active showing in New York Fashion Week, things in LA Fashion Week, which I think it's important to showcase like where I live and like where I work. I feel like a storyteller, and my way of storytelling is with fabric and thread instead of paper and pencil. Through that, I'll do like a little installation in a gallery. I'll put together like a body of work that I've been inspired from going to Alaska on my motorcycle and like all the trials and tribulations of bike engine blowing up, being stranded, getting a U-Haul, having to stash the bike, renting a bike, completing the journey, and everything that comes in the middle, riding to New York and like getting in a terrible accident on the way back, and then channeling that through my work, really showcase the photographs from the journey, showcasing the garments I was wearing that would later influence the garments I'll be making, and like all the artistic motifs that go into it. So today we're gonna be making a simple tote bag, hopefully something you can make at home. We're gonna start by drafting the tote bag per our dimensions, and then we're gonna be cutting the leather, gluing and cutting, and followed by that, we will be staining the leather. And this is something anybody can do at home with a few basic tools. So one of the perks about LA is the whole garment district, and it offers a whole wide variety of materials, notions, just anything garment related. For me and my process, especially like my personal work, I like found objects. I like things that are neglected, things that might not be the most obvious. At one of my leather places, they have remnants, so you can buy by the pound. It's very tricky, but if you get clever, you can, cut up all these leather pieces that you buy little tiny scraps of, and you can piece them together and you can make a final garment. The crazy manufacturing cycle we have here, there's a lot of byproduct, and I think that offers a potential win for people starting out that want to find unique materials. In the client realm, somebody will have their eyes set on a very specific thing that a high-end designer did, and I think when you focus on getting that thing, you lose the magic of finding a unique material that could also fulfill the vision. And so I think pivoting and adjusting and being open-minded to what's around us is a huge part of sourcing here. Amazing. I recently had a great opportunity to get some pants on Kylie Jenner, which was super awesome. And it was through one of my clients I do development for. And it's been super fun because it's actually like unique silhouettes and shapes. Pretty wild prompts, and it'll come to me and then we'll go through the wants and needs of the project. He'll sketch out a pretty close sketch. And from there, we'll kind of, point fingers and understand all the details that he needs. We'll either sew up a sample or we'll just dive into it with final materials. He has the infrastructure to get the stuff out there, which is the best part. A lot of people come to me asking about what to do to get into garment making. And I think after my years of having an actual degree, after years of just making, and just making some more, really the most important thing is get familiar with clothes. Go to a thrift store, get familiar with different styles, get those thrift store clothes, cut them up, try to make patterns, make mistakes, keep making more mistakes. And I think that's like been the most important thing for me was, I had my degree, which was a great foundation. I got out and there was still a lot of blanks I had to fill in. And the main way I filled in those blanks was just looking at garments I liked, trying to understand what inspired the designer, and trying to understand in my head what I thought that was, and then just making.